everybody, and welcome to my channel, Truth Matters. Um, in this channel, we talk about controversial topics such as immigration and abortion and things that sometimes make people uncomfortable, but they need to be spoken about. And they are important because they are affecting our country. And I know that sometimes people don't like to agree, but it is very important for us to have these discussions. And as Charlie Kirk said, the moment we stop talking, the moment we stop conversating with each other, that's when war starts. I think it's funny that once a war starts, everybody's like, oh, I wish they could just sit down and talk about it. But then when the opportunity comes for people to sit down and talk about things, nobody wants to talk. So in this channel, feel free to leave a comment. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. And honestly, I might in the future leave my number and we can do on the air conversations with different topics. Today's topic is abortion. And my opinion is I am very against abortion. As a 16-year-old girl, a lot of you guys like to fight for my rights. That's what you guys like to say. We're fighting for women's rights. Well, as a woman and as a female with a uterus, because you guys like to say no uterus, no opinion, I'm allowed to have an opinion because I have a uterus. And you guys like to say woman's choice. I am a woman and I say it is wrong. Nobody should have the right to murder. A right is not as important as somebody's life. And the moment we get that into our heads, our world will be a much better place. So, I like to debate with people a lot when it is the right thing to do. I don't like to debate for people just for fun, but when it is something that is wrong, I'm all at it. Like, we need to talk about the truth here, people. And since everybody likes to use me as a 16-year-old girl as an example, you guys like to use, oh, what if it's an 11-year-old when she gets pregnant? Those are very extreme circumstances, and I get that those are really hard to understand and fathom. But the fact of the matter is, a child should not have to suffer the consequences of its father's actions. Because a child was raped does not at all mean that the baby inside of her needs to be destroyed. Having two wrongs does not equal a right, and some people cannot get that into their head, but it is very important. Just because a child went through something traumatic does not necessarily mean that abortion is the right answer. And I get sometimes that is a very traumatic experience. And that is a very hard decision to make, and I am not a person in that person's shoes, but murder is still murder. And unless the person who is carrying the baby's life is at extreme risk, the child that is inside of her should be allowed to live. Those are two lives, and doctors need to treat it like so. Another topic people like to tell me that is a good reason for abortion to exist is because of rape. I kind of covered that in my last one, but it is very important. For some reason, everybody likes to think that because a woman was forced upon, that she has the right to murder her child. It is still her baby. Nobody is forcing her to keep that baby after it is born, but she does not have the right to murder. Just because somebody hurt her does not mean that she has the right to murder her own baby. And that is very important. Actually, statistics prove that a woman who is raped and keeps her baby is actually able to recover from her trauma of the rape much easier than a woman who has an abortion. That is not my opinion, that is a fact. Another argument that I get a lot is it's just a clump of cells or it's just a sack of tissue. Fact of the matter is, a clump of cells, me and you are a clump of cells. Everything is made out of cells. Just because it's made out of cells does not mean that it's not alive. In fact, that is the exact definition of it being alive, is that it is alive. Like, you can't deny that. For a sack of tissue, a baby is not a sack of tissue. It has fingers and it has toes as early as 8 weeks into pregnancy. And that is not my opinion either, that is a fact. A baby also has a heartbeat and brain waves as early as 18 days after conception. And that is a fact. That is not my opinion. You can look it up yourself. I think it's very interesting that you are defined dead when your heartbeat stops or when your brainwave stops, but you're not defined as alive when your heartbeat starts and your brainwaves start. Another thing that I find is very interesting is should not be the defining factors of a different life. We like to say, my body, my choice. It is not your body, so it is not your choice. During an abortion, it's not your arms that are being torn off, it's not your brain waves that are being stopped, and it's not your heartbeat that is being stopped. It is your baby's, so it's not your body. Last I checked, you didn't have 2 heads, 2 arms, and 2 legs. I mean, you do have 2 arms and 2 legs, but you didn't have 4 arms and 4 legs. your baby's body is inside of you. They have their own heartbeat, their own brain waves, and they're trying very hard to survive. They can even open their mouth and they can see very early in pregnancy. I'm not exactly sure of the exact stages. I would have to do more research on that, but I suggest to you do researches on when these moments that we define other people as alive, when do these happen in pregnancy? This is when we should be defining a human as alive. The fact of the matter is, it is a different human than the mother, and it deserves protection of life the moment of conception because it has different DNA than the mother. It has a set of DNA that nobody else on the entire planet will ever have again, making it its own extremely special person, and that deserves to be protected.